Well, hello and welcome, people of the internet, to Heroes and Redemption. We're back at it again, and you might be saying to yourself, Ganyons, that doesn't look like the priest that I thought we were going to play today, because that was the only character we had unlocked, and you would be 100% right. Let me take you on a little journey here, some behind the scenes, if you will. I have been playing this game for the past 2 hours, recording. Now, I very much went into the sewers with the intention of playing with the priest. However, I don't think that it is possible to beat the sewer with the priest. And you might say, Ganyons, nah, it's just that you're just not good enough. You're just not. That may be a factor. But if we take a look, I have every single piece of meta progression I can get up until this point. It is all completely maxed out. Okay, damage included, crit chance, all that kind of stuff. In terms of the gear that I have the more damage-oriented gear. I have the fire cape. The others, I also have the fortify, which gives you crit chance and crit damage when you have more than 50% of your health. So I have the other thing that I ended up purchasing, because initially we were on the revive ring. We are now on the ring of explosion, which deals damage in an area after you kill 25 enemies. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I could potentially go for more damage. Except for like this one, but this is absurd. Like there's no way to really farm the crystals out. The other thing that I've done, so I purchased two of these empowers. Now there's a little bit of a downside here in that I might not necessarily want to go with one of these empowers here because I got them specifically for the priestess. The issue that I'm running into is really the altars. So when we go into the sewer, which we're gonna try and do here, the reason that I'm thinking this character may be able to do it is simply, if you look at the stats here, he starts with crit chance and crit damage. And so I'm thinking that with the extra damage, maybe I can get it done. The struggle that I'm having is it's the altars. If you have the altar where you have to protect somebody, there's just not enough damage that you can get early on to protect them. And it's not even that it's early on, because the only time that I really had an early on defend quest was just the very last one I did, and it was the first one, and I still didn't have enough damage to do it. And trust me, I was focusing all in on damage, so I took the highest DPS skills, so except for the starter, right? Because for the starter I had to take the aura there, which is not really a super high damage dealing skill. I'm going to be looking for, we're going to banish Tomb of Regret because this one's not good. We're also going to banish Lexicon of Greedy because we're not doing that. Arcane Storm, while it is one of the highest DPS skills, I have to take it later because just because of the layout of this place, it's not good here. Lightning of Sodnir is one of the best skills that we can take. I'm going to also need the like relentless, what is it? The claws. So because this is your first time, I'm gonna have to like redo how I'm doing this video because let's see. So yeah, we'll take the damage increase because all like the first impressions I had of this location are just, they're never gonna make it to YouTube because the videos yeah, anyway. So sewers, very large map. Huge, in fact. Chests everywhere. So this is probably going to be the place that you need to come. Well, actually, I wouldn't recommend farming gold here because you're better off just farming gold the cheesy way, do endless, and just set up, you know, a character that could just go to town for a couple hours and not die. The frustrating thing is there's a couple places, like here, looks like I should be able to cross over, but I'm on a second level. This is the only map that we've played so far that has multiple levels like that. Like, I didn't expect to be able to cross that. And because of that, there's a lot of kind of issues with the map layouts. For one, Conjuring is actually one of our top damaging skills. Like, enemies are able to come up this way, but I don't think that we are. Let's just double check that real quick. Like, can I come up this way? Yeah, like, I cannot come up that way, but they can. There's also situations... what do I need here? Actually, Sacred Ring is actually not that bad damage-wise, especially for the altars that we're particularly losing at. These walls are super annoying because, look, all of this is wall that is above my head, but it's treating it like it's next to me. And the hitbox kind of around this area, I know it's hard to see, but, you know, it kind of goes like this, right? Like, this area I can't walk through, so I have to, like, make a wider berth. Let's go for more Sacred Rings. There are also quite a few logs, or I'm going to say logs, but walk paths, basically, that are not coded properly, and you cannot cross them. So you might go a certain way thinking that you have an escape path, only to find out that that escape path is not working properly and you can't cross it, which is a little bit frustrating. But really, it's the fact that I just have not found a build that does enough damage to properly defend the altar. And the fourth wave that does spawn, I don't know, guys. It might be infinite. The previous maps we've done have had a limited number of enemies spawn that I've been able to take care of. You know, struggled a little bit, but I mean, trust me, guys, the amount of enemies that spawn is ridiculous. Just don't be... Okay, it's a destroy. We can do a destroy. But I gotta pick up this experience first. Let's go ahead and re-roll this. I'm going to take the Sacred Ring. And so a couple of the other kind of, man, cooldown reduction is probably something that I should take. Something that was kind of getting to me was the revive system. So one of the ways that the priestess differentiates herself from the other characters, let me think about this. No, I think I need, yeah, I want Relentless Strike. Relentless Strike is one of the highest damaging moves we can grab for this. The revive system is not that great. So the big problem that I've found is that when you die, typically, as far as for me in this game, when you die by being surrounded by enemies. It's not like you get the one or two Z's that's maybe just like jukes you one way, like you think it's going left, it goes right, and it's like, it just happened to get me. Man, it feels weird. So I have to go Sacred Aura because I have to get it empowered, I think. The empowered version just does more damage and it does a giant area of effect. So I'm not going to take any more active skills. These are the only active skills that I want to pursue at this point. At this point, I'm just going to level these ones up and take passives. And so what happens is you get, if you're in a situation where, kind of like this, like if I ran into this group of enemies and then I revived, I would revive literally right in the middle of that group of enemies. Now, not necessarily saying that that shouldn't happen, but I think that what should happen first is that you have like a burst of energy that like pushes enemies away, because otherwise if like, for example, with the priest, she has such low such low health and she has like no armor that if you get spawned into that circle of enemies, you just die again. Like, so I had on the revive ring, and I had on, or because she's a priestess, she had a revive on. And typically, if I died once, I just died again, like instantly. So that was a little challenge that we had. So I ended up switching to the explodey ring for like another damage source. And so far we're doing okay, but it's really not until wave 4 that the problems start occurring. But I think, like, one thing to consider too is I don't think that there's something to be said about difficulty, right? I don't think that having difficult levels is a bad thing. But I think depending on if that difficulty comes from designs that are not working properly. For example, getting trapped, like if I was here thinking, oh, I can escape over this platform, and then all of a sudden I try and cross it and it's just like there's a barrier there. That's not really difficulty, that's just bad design. Yeah, see, we're going to start getting swarmed here in a second. But I have this out over here. But a lot of this experience I'm kind of just leaving behind because I just can't walk in there and get it. So, let's see, we can banish the luck. Let's go for a Lightning of Sodnir, split out our damage a little bit. And again, Sacred Aura I want to get up because it actually hits a decent amount of enemies. And one of the complaints that, not necessarily complaints, but one of the, oh, okay, I don't want to spend any more rerolls right now, so I'm just going to take the Conjuring. One of the observations that I had about it in previous videos is that the DPS actually wasn't as high as I thought it was, and I think a lot of that has to do with just the innate damage on the skill is low. But because I have that empowerment that increased the damage by 15, I want to give that a shot. Because again, once we get up to, oh geez, I gotta go this way. Once we get to that altar that's protect somebody, I need to just be doing a bunch of damage to as many enemies as possible, because there are so many that spawn. Sorry, I have slight hiccups right now. We'll go away in a second here. Okay, I'm just going to take the Sacred Ring just so that way that also gets it out of the pool and I don't have to worry about it anymore. Okay, so I don't want to spend a bunch of my rerolls right now, so I am just going to take the Crit Strike chance. We'll get more Conjurings. Lightning of Sodnir will get the damage up. But my fingers are crossed here because so far... Jesus Christ, there's so many coming. Okay, so I just need to focus on getting... Okay, this is gone. Yeah, I got to get this up and just get... Because it hits so fast. If I can get the damage up, then maybe we got a chance. But, like, look at how many enemies there are. Now, obviously, I will admit that there's going to be a little bit of a... I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. And let's get rid of this, too. Okay, so here I'm just going to take the... Actually, I'm going to take regen, because we don't... I know that's not what I said I was going to do, but we don't have any regen on this character. Conjuring, that's a lot of extra damage. Keep going. Yeah, just keep going for damage. Just damage the speed. More of them. More damage. Now I've somehow got to get to that altar. Well, like, how am I supposed to break my way through this? Okay, I guess we just try running. Yeah, because I don't really want any of these. Okay, so then we'll take the Demonic Flux. I mean, they're just everywhere, dude. It's like, because of the way that this map is built, where it's all like these linear pathways, there's nowhere to really like kind of like group them up away from everything. They just like all completely spawn together, and then they just turn into these giant lines of enemies. And they're just never ending. It's funny because I'm sitting here talking like, oh yeah, the damage actually looks better than it has in the past. And now I'm just like, I don't know how I'm supposed to make my way through this. Which we finally did, but now like I'm gonna have to defend somebody with this amount of enemies. Like, are you nuts? Okay, let's grab cooldown reduction. I'm just going to try and see if I can get like another level or two before I do the altar, but I don't know, man. Like, it's to the point that I honestly think that like this level could very well just be bugged. This is ridiculous. Compared to the last level. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, more damage. More damage. Cooldown. And now, of course, I'm not getting my seal attack, so I can't get that upgraded. Okay, let's see. Stand aside. Okay, well, there is a chance because this isn't a defend. Okay, now that is maxed, the next time I get a level, I can empower it for more damage. Which, honestly, I'm just going to say screw it. There we go. Empower. Damage. I somehow have still not finished this off. Okay, we're done. Get out. Crit strike damage. I'm gonna okay, now I think I'm gonna start going defensives if they come up. Because I got a boss I gotta fight. Like, is this code? Yeah, see, like, why are they not? I probably shouldn't you know, incentivize them to cross. Double damage. Here we're just gonna go damage multiplier. Especially since, like, all my skills are basically close to maxed out. I'd rather just get a multiplier on that rather than getting another weak skill. So, take this into consideration, right? Like, I'm sitting here fighting for my life. And did you see down here, there's a bunch of enemies that aren't even coming up because they're all stuck down here. So there's a whole bunch of other enemies that aren't even getting to me because they're stuck on the map. Which is ridiculous because there's already so many enemies. Like, I don't understand why they're throwing this many enemies at me. And remember, this is the first level of difficulty on sewers. Right? This isn't like difficulty 10. This is the first difficulty. So there had better be some crazy meta progression to get in the future. Because they're, like, the waves is just... Like, is this the same number of enemies that I fought on the previous maps? There is a number that we can look at here to see how many enemies I've defeated, but I just feel like this is just more than I've ever seen before. Okay, like, I feel like I'm finally at a point where it's not incredibly challenging to kill anything anymore. But I'm almost certain, based on the performance that, you know, we saw when we were doing the Stand Right Here quest, if it was a defend quest, we would have lost. 100%. Oh, wait, is there something back here I can go get? No? Okay. I guess technically... Okay, I have to explore here. I just need to know if there's anything back here. No, it looks like it's just... Okay, it's just empty sewers. So we're just not gonna... We're not gonna waste our time. What the shit? Bro, what? Like, is this a joke? Okay, well, I can use those to defend. Gotta back off, keep getting my health up. I didn't have enough time to build up any regeneration. Am I getting hit by those? Okay, this fight might be a long time, might take a while because I'm gonna play this very safe. Okay, yeah, he can't hit me through here, so I can kind of cheese him. Yeah, so our spinny ring of knives here is super helping us out here, because otherwise all our projectiles aren't able to get through this pillar. But there's no way I'm not cheesing him at this point. I've literally been sitting here for 2 hours stuck on this level. Yeah, thank you. Die a horrible death, you piece of absolute shit. Ugh. Mythic runes. Okay, these had better be like 100% extra damage. Because if they're not, if they give me like 1% power, I'm calling shenanigans. Oh, dude, that is a freaking hard level. Holy Christ. Okay. So, I heard you took down the Beholder. Congratulations, quite an achievement. I see you found the Elven loot. You should give back to him. I'm sure he'll be very pleased. Yeah, you better be very pleased or I'll slit his throat. Okay. What are you giving me here? Experience. We have damage multiplier. Okay, that's not bad. Crit damage. Bunch of stuff. What is this? Ooh, we just have the Runes of Fatality. That's going to be pretty nice. Extra projectiles. Okay, so all good stuff. So let's go ahead and purchase all those. We'll purchase that. We'll purchase these. Wait, is this start? Oh, okay, so we can. So now we get 2 arcane materials. Oh wow, this stuff is actually super expensive. I didn't think I was actually gonna run out of money. That being said, I can easily just set this up to just farm money for me. Okay, one more thing. Oh god. Okay, hang on, my back just like froze up on me. So we have one more place to go. We have Old Prison, which has a new character. I still need to do the bonus level, which I'm going to be honest, is super weird that the bonus level is in the middle of these levels like that. I would figured it would be the last thing, because as I was reading in the updates, there's like no altars or anything. It's just basically endless, where the enemies are even tougher, which, good lord, I guess it's bonus because it's just the 3 previous areas. But apparently they give you better rewards, so we'll have to check that out. And then I still have some stuff here that I need to get, and so I'll probably do that off camera, so that way you guys don't need to see me farm that. I'm still very surprised that I haven't unlocked a different difficulty for this yet. It must be that I have to do something here to unlock further difficulties. So, that being the case, one thing that I've mentioned it a couple times, or I mentioned a couple times, and then I'm not going to put those in the video because at this point it was just kind of me ranting. But one thing that I do want to talk about that I don't think that I've mentioned it a couple times, but not like fully explain my thoughts on it in a coherent state, and I think that the developer needs to kind of hear this. So this is not necessarily talking about all the map issues. There were a lot of map issues, but only in that one location. The other locations have been mostly fine. Character design. So I'm not sure if the characters themselves are from a pack, because I know this character has been used before in other games, so that leads me to believe, and that's one of the issues if you have characters that are from a pack, is that if I don't know, I'm going to assume that these characters are also from a pack. So that being said, character identity is a huge aspect to these games, right? I think it was in one of these previous videos. Oh, you know what? It probably wasn't. It was probably in the Soda Man video that I put out, because we were talking a lot about Death Must Die. When you look at not talking about the character designs in terms of aesthetics. I'm talking just about all these stats over here. With how many stats you have to play with over here, you take a look at like the Knight. What's special about the Knight? Well, he has 120 health, he has half a regen, he has 5 armor. What about the difference between the knight and the paladin? Well, the paladin has a little bit more armor, she has a little bit more health, she has a little bit more regen, and she has less move speed. Oh, she also has a revive. Okay. But in terms... So she is a tankier character. I understand that. But as far as what skills you decide to take with her, is there any difference between these two? Is there any incentive to take different skills between these two characters? Think about it for a second. What about the mage? So let's take a look between these two characters, okay? So she has a little bit less health, same regen, less armor. She has more cooldown reduction, and she has skill movement speed is up a little bit. Now, you could argue that the skill movement speed would give you incentive. You're already playing Flying Seal. It's what she starts with, right? So maybe that means then you go Conjuring. Are those the only two projectile skills in the game? I think those are the only two. Right? Let me hover over these just to make sure. Demonic Flux is a projectile. Okay, so that increases speed there. So you could argue that this skill speed is making it so that she has to go more like projectile based, but there's not that many in the game. Okay, let's take a look at the Priest. So the Priest starts with Sacred Aura. Compared to I'm just comparing to the starting character because starting characters I typically think of as like neutral characters. She's got a lot less health, right? But more regen. Okay. Well, she has no armor, which makes sense because she is a priestess with very low health. So she dies very quickly. And because of that, she has an extra revive on here. And the only other thing that's different is that she has a better pickup range. Okay. So now we've established that she's kind of like the paladin in that she has more regeneration abilities, but she doesn't have the tankiness. So she regens a little bit faster. But out of her kit, what makes you choose certain skills or go for certain builds with this character over another? I'm going to say nothing. I'm going to say that the character design here is not relevant almost at all. And in fact, I would say that you're actually disincentivized to play this character. For one, her health pool is much smaller than all of the other characters. And for two, she has one of the worst damaging abilities. Abilities that are strictly there for damage. Let me word it like that. Because there are other abilities like the slime pool, like the brambly roots that are worse than this in terms of damage, but are there more for crowd control purposes. This one just does damage, and it's one of the worst ones for damage until you empower it, right? We did definitely use it at the end of this run to kill the boss, but it needed an empowerment. Without it, even when it's maxed out, it was still like doing half the DPS as our other skills. So, for example, why not make her the AoE character? Why not have a stat here? You already have, it's not listed here, but there is a passive that you could take in the game to increase area of effect. And a lot of these, like this evade chance, this luck chance, crit strike, crit damage, experience, all of these things are already the icons that you're using for skills in the game, or for passives in the game. So why not take the skill that is AoE, plop it on her, give her more AoE. So things like Sacred Aura, things like I forgot what it's called, but the destructive one, the one that has a really long cooldown but does bigger damage. Have abilities like Demonic Flux, where the area increases the size of the projectile. You have things like the Arcane, I keep forgetting what it's called, but it's the Arcane one that it's one circle that spins around us, not the Sacred Ring, where it's a bunch of little damaging orbs, but it's the one damaging orb that spins around. That one actually has very good DPS. But it's like, why would you not make this the AoE character? Because then you'd be incentivized on this character if you wanted to have an AoE build. It's like, oh, I play the Priest. And then you worry about the other stats that they have. The Rogue, for example. Okay, I could totally understand this being the crit chance, the crit character, right? That one makes total sense. The Paladin here. Okay, she's just a slightly tankier knight. Why would I ever go with the knight once you get the paladin? She's slower, but she has a revive. She has way more health, and she has slightly more regen. And I would argue that she may even have the better weapon. So instead, why not make, you know, this character better with like more melee based damage? Or that's kind of tough because a lot of the skills you wouldn't really consider to be melee. What else could you do? For a paladin, maybe, okay, so maybe paladin, rather than having more regen, because you have such a high health pool, maybe the paladin has like lifesteal. And so if that's the case, okay, well, if you have lifesteal, things that hit more targets are going to be better. So the Sacred Ring is going to be better. Sacred Aura is going to be better on her. Conjuring is going to be good because you increase the number of projectiles. The Flying Seal is going to be good because it hits a number of enemies. I don't know, something like that, rather than just defaulting to the health regen. Necromancer is one that I feel like is like wholly just like there's no reason to go for, because sure, you get, again, I understand, you get the skill speed, you get the movement of the skill speed up, and you get the, which makes sense, right? Because you're using the Sacred Ring. But I don't know, there's just not a lot of identity to this character. As a Necromancer, this Sacred Ring has like nothing to do with necromancy. There's just like nothing really leaning me towards this character. So yeah, in terms of like character identity, I feel like there needs to be a little bit of work, right? If you look at something like I'll bring up Death Must Die, because I don't know if it's come out yet, but I just did an update video on Sodaman, which is, unfortunately, they made it a lot more like Death Must Die than it was originally. But with Death Must Die, each character, well, for one, you have its own independent skill tree, which is going to drastically change how they play compared to other characters. But each one of those characters has a different number of skills of each type that they can use. So forgive me if my numbers aren't exactly accurate, but looking at like the Orc character, who's like the Berserker, and looking at the starter character, which is the Knight. The Knight, I don't remember how many strikes he can have. I think it might be like 2 strikes, but I know for a fact that I'm pretty sure, I shouldn't say no for a fact, pretty sure that character can have 4 powers, and I think that the Knight character might be the character who has the most power slots available, versus the Orc, which has the most strikes available. I believe it's 4 strikes, and I think he can only have 1 power. So those two things drastically change how you build the characters, because the skills that you can take, the 4 skills that you can take, or let's say it like this, the 4 powers that you can take on the Knight character, you cannot actually do that on the Orc. So it gives you more of a reason to go and play that the Knight character if you want to do a power build, versus the Orc character who like actually cannot do that build. In this game, every character can do every build. Might some characters, for example, might this Necromancer be slightly better at using the Sacred Ring than the Paladin? Sure, perhaps. But slightly better isn't different enough where it's like this is a different character that you want to play for a specific purpose. Especially when for me, half the fun of a Bullet Heaven is actually going through and making the choices and building your character, and just seeing it play out is a nice thing to happen. But I like the actual building aspect of the character, and if all the characters can be built identically, and it's more so a matter of what is going to be the most efficient skills, well, then every build just turns into the same. You just have a slightly different graphic here, and you have slightly different stats. But, you know, those stats don't drastically change how the game is played. The small exception here, I think, is to this character, right? Because he's really the only character that has strictly more damage, right? You can argue that skill movement speed changes how much damage with Sacred Ring, but I don't really think that adding like speed to a Conjuring is going to strictly increase your DPS, because it goes through the same amount of enemies just at a faster pace. This is the only character that I can see that actually changes how much damage you're doing, and it does it to everything. So I honestly don't know why, now that I'm thinking about it, I really don't know why you'd go with any other character other than this one. Now, to be fair, there's one other character that we haven't unlocked yet, and he might be the best character. But as of now, it's like, we've been going through all the different characters as part of a video mini-series, so we've just been kind of showing off all the different characters. But there's really not any incentive to choose one character over another, I feel, in terms of builds, right? Before this character, I probably every time would have just picked Paladin. So I think that's, again, I know that's people watching the video for entertainment might not find that the most interesting, but developer, if you are watching this and you do want to kind of improve your game, I would heavily think about stuff like that in order to make it more interesting to pick up individual characters, as opposed to all kind of having them be very similar in that sense. And it could just be, you know, it doesn't have to be like including anything different really. It could just be like, you know, drastically improve some of these numbers. It's hard really to know some of these, like for example, skill move speed. 10 doesn't really tell me anything. 5, is this I'm assuming that, actually, I'm probably assuming this is a percentage. I think it would be helpful. I wonder how you would do this. Maybe what you could do is have two different menus, not menus, but two different sections. So you could have, like, because you have like health, you have regen, well, you know, you'd have to do this, but some of these are percentage based, some of these are flat numbers, like, right? Like revive is a flat number. Maybe you have a flat number, because otherwise the easiest way would just be to put a percentage sign behind some of these, right? So that way you know it's percentages. But really, like, maybe, for example, like the Priestess, I mean, I would say go AoE, but maybe you just give her a drastically different setup. Like, nobody is really, like, a lot of these stats here, luck, nobody is using luck. Everything is 0. Nobody's using experience. Everything is 0. Nobody is using knockback. Everything here is 0. Nobody's doing projectile amounts. Everything is 0. So a lot of these stats are pretty useless for this menu. I don't understand why they're there. The Rogue probably should be like luck based, you know, luck evade based. The Necromancer, maybe the Necromancer has a higher instant kill chance, which, see, like, so what I would probably do is take like the health idea of the Priest, just drop Necromancer's HP, maybe even lower than this. Maybe you drop it to like 50, and you just give him like a 10% chance to kill anything. But if it doesn't kill it, you have a very high chance of dying. Like, that is something that would drastically change this character, make him way more unique, but also make him a risk. Priestess, right? I get why you're doing the regen. Maybe you give her a little bit more HP, bring her up to like 80, and you give her an AoE stat that just increases the size of all your spells. You know, the Mage, maybe the Mage has one additional projectile rather than slightly faster move speed on spells. That would make her more unique than any of these other characters when it comes to projectile abilities. Stuff like that is, I think, what this game needs to, like, give it some oomph behind its characters, because right now all the characters kind of blend together. That's where I'm going to leave it. If you stuck around through my rant, thank you everyone so much for watching the video. If you did enjoy, if you did like, would you kindly smash that like button and subscribe to the channel for more roguelite action? Because, guys, I'm out of here. Thank God we finally got this one recorded. I know for you guys it's only a 45-minute video, but there was about 2.5 hours of recording behind it. Footage you will never see. But guys, I've been Games. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time.